Welcome back everybody to Google versus the Movement Doctor. And today we're going to talk about what should you be doing if you're searching on what stretches you need to do before or after a game. Most people like to stretch before a game and kind of neglect the after part, which will really help with decreasing a lot of soreness that you'll get the next day. But one of the big things that people are searching is what stretches should you be doing before a game. And what we want to really start teaching is it's not about laying down on your back and stretching your hamstrings and holding it for 30 seconds and kind of moving it. That's called static stretching. The best kind of stretching that we kind of know through research is called dynamic stretching. So something where it's a lot of different parts are moving, not just like one segment and you're not just holding one muscle at the same time. So one of the stretches that's really important is for your hip flexor. And so here we have hip flexor on the left side being stretched, but what's really important is what's happening on the pelvis. So if you see her rotate her pelvis backwards, it's called posterior pelvic tilt, you'll get a way bigger stretch when you start leaning forward here. What most people do is they just stretch, let that go, and then they just kind of move forward, and there's a bigger range that you need to feel to get that stretch here. With that posterior pelvic tilt, now you're getting this alignment correct, and the range of motion to start feeling that same kind of stretch that you're supposed to feel is much less, as you can see with her movement. These sticks are just here to help with counterbalance, but then also can be used for some rotational stretching. So again, this is dynamic stretching because she's moving throughout the whole stretching process, not just holding one segment at a time. Another one you can do in this same position is bringing this front leg out more and getting a hamstring stretch at the same time. Posterior pelvic tilt, lean forward a little bit with the hip flexor, so come forward here with the hip flexor. Yep, so now she's getting a nice dynamic stretch through the back because she's constantly moving her pelvis and trunk forward. Adding a little bit more dorsiflexion will help get some nerve glides as well. And you can also add in the rotation with this one as well. So what you did earlier, now you're doing for this front leg, where before it was for the back leg. So another way to kind of continue with this dynamic stretching is by really opening up the hips. And when maybe you've been researching and some people are just kind of stretching right here or stretching like this, and thinking that that's a good way to kind of get some mobility. But we'll show you here some different movements that can really open up the hips on both sides and at the same time work on some balance and stability. And then you're walking forward and then you're switching sides. Really working single leg balance, opening up that hip that's kind of rotating out. Another stretch for the hip is cross body, bringing the hips, really stretching these lateral structures here and here. Again, counterbalancing with the other arm, working on single leg balance the whole time. So there's tons of exercises that are out in terms of dynamic stretching. The idea of what we're trying to teach here in this Google versus Movement Doctor video is that let's kind of move away from the static stretching, especially the ones on your back, because you don't play sports or activities on your back. And whatever you're doing pre-game, you can also do post-game, because those are the same exercises, nothing really changes there. You just want to help cool down the body, change the blood flow, increase as much, stretch it through that body so that after you're not feeling as sore. So if you even search on what are some of these great dynamic stretches, there's a lot of lunges, a lot of positions. Just think about something more up on your feet rather than laying on the ground and just losing what you've gained, because most people go run a lap, they warm up by a light jog and then they come back and they lay on the floor to stretch. You're kind of defeating the purpose of running that lap. We want to be able to always kind of stay upright, play your sport, be in the position of your sport, which is most likely standing, and adding a lot more rotational work, because that's going to be what your body's getting prepped for the game or the competition or the practice. If you'd like to see more exercises on what to do for a dynamic stretch, write in the comment there and we can do a whole video on all dynamic stretching to kind of get you guys more acquainted with what are the proper ways and what are the mechanics you're looking for. Thank you.